What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing a quick guide over to Soulfire Bastion, which is the gambling dungeon within Last Epoch. And the way this works is essentially you go in, you kill monsters. As you do, you will get these things called Soulfire Embers. At the end of the dungeon, once you've completed it and beat the boss, you can go and exchange these for random items that you were looking for. And it's another way to sort of target farm items within the game. Now, before I do get into this guide, if you haven't already, if you're new to the channel or just coming for the first time, please hit that subscribe button as it does help grow the channel and I very much appreciate it. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the dungeon. This here is the Soulfire Bastion. So once you get here, if you don't know exactly where the location is, you can right click the key and it'll show you exactly on the map where you need to go. Coming to the dungeon itself, you put the key in, and then you get a choice between the four. You do have to complete each tier once in order to unlock the next one. And they vary in rewards. So the first one's at level 45 with no additional rewards. The second one, level 75 with 2 additional pairs of gloves that you can gamble on. Third is at level 92 with boots, and 4 is bows at level 100. Obviously, the higher the tier, the worse the multipliers, both in damage and health, and the more careful you're going to have to be and have a stronger build for it. So for example, let's say I want the 3 additional pairs of boots, I would be going into the third one. Now, before I get into that, there's also dungeon mechanics. So these soul embers are what you collect by killing enemies within the dungeon. The more you collect, the more you have to gamble at the end of the dungeon itself. So I'm going to go into the tier 3, and then you'll see that I have a shield around me. What this does is, if I'm standing in fire, for example, I want the fire protection shield, and then I will not be taking fire damage from those attacks. The same goes for the enemies' attacks within the dungeon as well as the boss. All the enemies within the dungeon will do either necrotic damage and or fire damage, and you have to make sure that you are on the correct shield type in order to prevent. Most regular mobs aren't really that much of an issue, but the boss itself, you're going to have to be careful with what kind of damage you protect yourself against. Once you get to the end of the first floor, clear all the mobs around here, and then once you get close enough, you'll see it on the map showing you where the exit or entrance to the next floor is. Once you get here, it will add additional modifiers for the next floor of the dungeon, more damage and more health to minions. And once you click proceed, you will be able to go into the next floor of the dungeon. The same thing happens once you finish the second floor, and right before you get to fight the boss, you do get another set of modifiers, and then you can proceed to the boss room where you will fight the boss itself. Now, once you get to the boss room, you will go here and it'll ask you whether or not you want to proceed, and this is where you have to be careful with your Soulfire shield. If the boss does necrotic attacks, you want to be on the necrotic shield. If he does flame attacks, you want to be on the fire shield. He also has floor in his room that's both necrotic and fire randomly, so be careful where you stand. If you're standing in the wrong one, you're going to take a lot more damage than you should be, and it's going to make the fight a lot harder. Other than that, there's not really many specific mechanics that you have to watch out for in this fight, but do try to be careful which types of damage you're protecting yourself against, and of course try and burst them as quickly as you can. That was a necrotic attack, so I was on my necrotic shield, and then I was fine to tank it. Now the floor is necrotic, so I'm going to be on my necrotic shield again. Keep in mind, he does do both attacks at the same time sometimes, so you have to be careful which one you really want to tank. And then that's the end of the dungeon. And once you beat the boss, you can just go all the way to the end here. And there will be the NPC where you can just gamble on all the items that you wish with the amount of soul embers that you collected in the dungeon itself. For example, I wanted some unique pairs of boots. You come here, shift right click to buy it, it rolls the rarity. There's a decent chance in these of both being exalted and uniques. Typically, as you can see, out of 3, 2 of them were exalted, 1 was a rare. I were to get a couple more, another exalted, and then another exalted pair. So out of 5 tries for boots, for example, I got 5 exalted pairs and only 1 rare. And the same goes for pretty much anything else that you try to gamble. But yeah, that's basically the end of the Soulfire Bastion dungeon. That is going to be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it or if you found that helpful, again, please make sure to hit that subscribe button as it does help me out. As always, my social media information will be in the video description below. If you want to reach out, if you want to talk to me about anything, I'll always try to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.